Yo, what's up, guys? We're live. We're going to be doing a quick UFC 300 early kind of betting breakdown, and we're going to do a little bit of a recap on last week's show. But got a special guest this week. Got Fitz coming on the channel. So, what's up, man? How you doing tonight? And you ready for this card, man? UFC 300, one of the biggest weeks of the year.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is a card we all been waiting for. I mean, months, if not years. The hype is growing by the day. I can't wait. Now 6 days out, countdown. And yeah, I'm so excited. It's such a great card from top to bottom. Every fight, it's insane. I mean, just looking over the card, trying to, get my predictions ready. It's nuts. Just, the treat we're in for this weekend. And, I'm super grateful we get to watch it and hopefully take home some money.
Yeah, dude. Talking about taking home some money, we're going to talk about this card last week real quick. And you killed this card last week, man. So, good shit. I mean, I think you only got one fight wrong, right? So, yeah, man, you got to keep that rolling for this card.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it was a great, get the momentum building for 300, but just got to keep up the work, put in the work in for 300. And, we had this live stream planned beforehand, but just so happens I have like the best betting night of my life the night before. So that was awesome.
Yeah, dude. And even we were talking about 299, like we both did really good that time. So hopefully we could, keep it going, but yeah, let's get into these fights from last week real quick. The first fight of the night, I gotta say, I was totally off on this one. I thought Melissa Mullins was gonna be way more effective with the wrestling. I thought she was probably winning the fight, but it was kind of like ineffective grappling, and then Cornell ended up finishing her on the feet in the second round after she hurt her to the body. So you even I remember you DM me right before the fight. You were saying you thought Cornell was gonna win. So what made you think that Cornell was gonna get the upset in this one?
So really, I had just seen some things in Mullins' last fight where she really didn't get any takedowns. It kind of were like weird headlock situations, and they kind of just rolled on the mat. And I know a lot. Cornell was getting some slack for her last fight against Jocelyn Edwards, but I think Jocelyn Edwards is a decent opponent, especially in your UFC debut. And I know Cornell was really decorated as a Muay Thai striker in France, and for me, that's a background that I really respect. Coming in as a really credentialed Muay Thai fighter out of France, I know you're gonna have a really good skill set. So I just saw the value there. As a huge underdog, I also know Mullins had some personal stuff going on. A divorce. I don't know, a last name change, completely changed her camp. Don't want to go too much into her personal problems, but you want to go into a fight with a clear mindset. You know what I mean? So any chance you get to expose someone who might have some distractions outside of their camp, I think you could have some value. I actually had the KO prop. I didn't do great on props this night, but this one was plus 1,000, so that was sweet. And I really like the finish. Some people were giving her slack, saying it was a weak knee, didn't look that hard, but I thought it was a sick combo, and Mullins was in a lot of pain after the fight.
Yeah, the finish, it was just cool the way it happened. Where she got her with the head kicks after, but yeah, man. I mean, what do you think about both these girls in the future, though? Like, you think they're going to be able to? I think Mullins was ranked, which is kind of crazy. But you think that they're going to be like sticking around in the UFC, moving up, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this weight division, women's bantamweight, it's by far, I would say, the weakest in the UFC.
Yeah.
So it both of them are young girls. I'm really, I think Cornell definitely 100%. She just got to work on her ground game because the striking is there. Just got to develop that ground game because even in the first round, like you said, probably dropped it. So still a lot to improve there. But I think she's a exciting prospect. In a division that doesn't have too many. And even Mullins, I think if she rounds out her game, gets things straight with her camp, whatever might have been going on, she can still develop. So I won't write either of these girls off.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I was pretty impressed with Cornell. I thought that she was going to be when Mullins got her down, like she got her down. She actually secured position, and Cornell was able to reverse, which I was really surprised by that. I just didn't think her grappling looked good against Edwards, so I think I underrated her a little bit. So yeah, she did good in that fight. And Mullins, I still think will be back just because, like you said, 135 is weak, and she's a wrestler, and she's going to be probably one of the better wrestlers in the division. So I think both of them will be decent. But yeah, man, the second fight, Cesar Almeida versus Dylan Budka. kind of similar to this fight, where I thought Budka probably won the first round. He just kind of like grinded on him against the cage, but got himself tired, and then Almeida was able to capitalize and finish in the second round. So personally, I thought Budka kind of disappointed in his performance because on the Contender Series, he came in short notice. He was at a different weight class. And then this fight, you would have thought maybe he would have been a little bit more effective with the wrestling and things like that. But I feel like he might not be sticking around in the UFC that long unless he can really get his top game a lot better where he can control guys and do good that way, or improve the striking. But I think it's going to have to be more his top game getting better. And he's only 24, so it's possible. But I think right now I'm not sure how many guys he can beat at 185. But for Almeida, his takedown defense, his grappling held up again, and he was able to show up the striking. So I think as long as they keep giving him these kind of matchups, he can do good. But I am curious, like if they give him a higher level guy, how he's going to do with like that limited experience. But what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Almeida could definitely be a hot prospect at middleweight. I thought he looked impressive. To be honest, I was a little confused by Budka. He's all right. Good wrestler, tough guy. But like you said, in his Contender Series fight, I mean, it was one of the worst. Even Dana White said it was like the worst Contender Series fight of all time. But he stepped up on short notice. He liked that. He gave him a shot. But in the post fight, Dana was like, we're going to sign you, but you're going to be a welterweight. That's like the main point he was driving home. And then he's here in the UFC fighting middleweight. I don't know if they tried to make the weight. Wasn't happening. But yeah, like you said, he's got to add some skills if he wants to be a UFC fighter. Just really almost no striking offense from him. And the jiu-jitsu, good wrestling, but the jiu-jitsu, the control, not great. So definitely needs to round out his skill set. But as for Almeida, he had a beast in front of him. I really think Almeida's the real deal. I think he's getting some training in with Extreme Couture. He was. That's, in my opinion, if not the best, one of the best gyms in the game. So, a glory kickboxer training with them middleweights over Extreme Couture is a scary thought. And I think Cesar Almeida could definitely be someone to watch.
Yeah, I know too. He's like been going to a lot of camps, or I don't know about a lot, but I was listening to Santino DeFranco's podcast. He does a breakdown show, and he was talking about how Cesar went to Fight Ready and was training with them over there for a short period too. So he's definitely getting some good looks in. Like Fight Ready is another, and Extreme. Like those are like two of the best wrestling gyms you could go to. So yeah, Almeida. The only thing is he's 5-0, so it's like, do you really want to throw him like jump him up really quick just because of his age, or do you think he still kind of needs to like get a couple more Dylan Budka type fights?
Yeah, I definitely would prefer like a slow build. Like for who I picked him against next, I thought someone around Josh Fremd or Claudio Ribeiro. I had names listed. He's definitely someone you don't want to rush. I mean, I know the age is 36. He's a little up there, but not too much wear and tear as far as his MMA career goes. I'm not too familiar with, what he did in the kickboxing realm, if he got knocked out a few times over there, but not too many miles on him. And at middleweight, he can hang around a little longer, to the late 30s. So hopefully they build him up for at least this year. And if he passes all the tests, going into 2025, give him that top 15, top 10 test. But we'll see. Long way to go for him from there.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I'm gonna shout out some of the chat real quick. You got your boy right here, Art of Combat. He's blowing up the chat. He's talking about you. And then we got DeRozan VP. Let's go. Shout out to you, Will Fink and Make Clips. Shout out to you. And then I don't think you don't have a channel right now, right, bro? You don't got it.
Yeah, if anything, it's gonna be we're trying to get Fight Take podcast on YouTube. It's been off, but we're going to try to get it going back. So if you look up Fight Take Network, I believe it's under on YouTube. We're going to be trying to get like a podcast, just talking, not as much in-depth breakdown like these, just more talking fights, leisurely, our takes on the fights, our takes what's going on in the MMA boxing world. But it's cool. You should check it out. But
yeah, man. And then Richie said they should cut Budka. Yeah, I mean, I would give him another fight personally. I mean, it's only been one fight in UFC, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's really gonna stick around. But then John DiNapoli saying Fitz is a goat, so what's up to him? Pat Timber. What's up, brother? And then we got Henry McMahon in here. So got some people in here chilling with us. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to everyone in the chat. When we get into more UFC 300 stuff, be interactive. I want to hear what you guys got to say and about these fights too. But this next fight, man, I was a little salty about this one because I did have a bet on Areta here. And honestly, I thought he was looking good, but you could see after a while that he was definitely taking damage on the feet and it was affecting him. So was definitely getting nervous, but I felt like it was possible he still could have pulled out the fight, but then he submitted with 1 second left on the clock. So Matsumoto got it done. He's 15-0 now, so you definitely got to look at him as a future prospect. And honestly, even though Areta has 2 losses in a row, I mean, I think his striking is really bad. But I still think he's decent. Like if you give him the right matchups, he could definitely grind out some wins. But yeah, man, honestly, I was kind of surprised by this one. I thought Areta was going to be able to I guess he did do really well. Like he was taking him down with the leg takedowns pretty easy. But Matsumoto, he was able to get up and do damage on the feet and then submitted him. So kind of skills won that fight there over the wrestling. But yeah, man, what did you think about this fight?
Yeah, this was definitely one of the tougher breakdowns I had, predictions I had, bets I made going in, whatever. I was nervous. I kind of regretted it when the fight started. I thought Argueta had it. I'm a fan of Dan, It's tough to bet against him. I watched him when he was on Tough. I liked him. He was kind of like the top seed of that season. I was rooting for them. He's had, a kind of real weird UFC career, some bad luck, some weird results. He definitely has the wrestling, I guess there's questions about his gas tank, but he just puts out such a ridiculous pace. If he can kind of just, develop on the feet a little more and mix that, blend the martial arts, develop that boxing game and mix it with his, really good wrestling, offensive wrestling, he can definitely turn around. But he ran into a killer, man. I mean, Matsumoto on the feet, his leg kicks are sick. I rewatched his Contender Series fight. And I mean, the speed that he whips his leg kicks at are insane. And this guillotine was nasty. I mean, Areta even had his head shaved. I don't know if he shaved his head to specifically avoid getting put in a guillotine or what, but it was a nasty finish. I mean, Argeta's eyes were popping out of his head. I don't know if he got put out and then back to sleep, but it was weird. It was scary how he was sitting up after that fight. But yeah. I think Matsumoto's a top prospect, really.
Yeah, I saw people were shitting on Areta. They were like, "Oh, he tapped with 1 second." I was like, "Bro, he was gonna pass the fuck out if he didn't."
Yeah, he got slept. Yeah,
it was it. So you can't really fault him for that. But yeah, man. I mean, honestly, Matsumoto, I think he's ready. I don't know if I would give him a top 15 next, just because bantamweight is so deep. He doesn't deserve that probably yet. But I think he could probably 2-3 fights and you could throw him in there with some name guys because he has a fun style to watch too. So 135 just keeps getting better, man.
100%. I mean, and even props to him, his first fight in the UFC. And I think that's a great fight IQ move, going for a guillotine late in the round, submission late in the round, where even though you're giving up position, but there's not that much time left where you have to pay for it, take that risk. It's an educated risk and it definitely paid off. So I thought that was a great debut.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know what happened, guys. Hold up. I'm going to try to he just got off here, so hold up. Let me see. I think he's trying to come back on right now. What's up, bro?
Yeah. Sorry about that. We should be right back on.
No worries. He's going to pull back up that Tapology, but we're about to talk about the Victor Hugo fight. So that fight, it was kind of a weird fight. I thought that it really could have went either way. Honestly, I feel like if Falcao had a full camp, he probably would have won because I don't think he trusted his striking at all. He probably wasn't striking very much because it seemed like he was having success on the feet and would just try to wrestle right away. Maybe he felt way more comfortable there. And I thought he was really small. He could maybe go to 25 or Hugo's a huge 135 or one of the two. But, yeah, honestly, I thought it was a pretty competitive fight, but Hugo probably edged it, which he'd won the decision. But I was more impressed with Falcao, honestly, on short notice than Hugo. But what did you think about this one?
Yeah, like you said, it was a weird fight. I mean, with the fouls, like there were nut shots and then nut shots that weren't called. I see Chris Tyone, the ref, getting a lot of slack online recently. People calling him, the worst ref in the
Yeah,
business.
he does
Saying
like
he's too old to ref. He can't see the strikes; they're moving too fast for him. Yeah, he's been catching
he
online.
does
But
like he's inconsistent, like where he'll stop like a fight super early and then super late. I don't know why, but yeah.
like you said, yeah, Falcao on short notice. I rated Hugo going into it. Like I was gonna pick him in his original matchup. Um, So I was rating him. I liked him on the Contender Series. I didn't think this was a great performance from Victor Hugo. I would have liked him to see him do a little more. I know he dropped Falcao at the beginning of the third round, but it was kind of like it wasn't like a devastating knockdown. Falcao was just a little too one-minded. His game plan was too dead set on wrestling. Had he let the hands go, had he mixed it up a little bit, I think it would have
Yeah.
been a lot more successful because you just in this 2024, you're just not winning fights holding people against the fence. The judges don't score it at all, really.
Yeah. Like honestly, like if it was like a few like the old judging, he might have won that decision. But
Yeah, I agree. He could have taken the first two rounds, definitely.
yeah, but yeah, honestly, I thought I don't know, like if you look at them though, like and then you look at Matsumoto and Areta, I feel like they're not maybe as high level as them at 135. It's like such a hard division, man. Like so they're gonna have to keep impressing me. Like I'm not sold on either guy really yet. But
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at matching like Hugo and Matsumoto up. Keep them on the same timeline.
yeah.
Find out who's got the more promise. I would definitely favor Gene. I think after what he's shown us, but we'll see. All young fighters. Three of them making their UFC debut in bantamweight between the last two fights. So it's always exciting getting new fighters in the pool.
Yeah. And then this next fight, I don't know. Don't got much to
Quick
say
one,
about
yeah.
this one. Like fuck, Norma Dumont, went in there and laid on her for 2 rounds and got the win. And I actually like Norma. I know her personally. Like she trained at Syndicate for a few of her camps, and man, she's done really well in the UFC where she's won almost all her fights. So shout out to her. But I just don't know how much this one's gonna do. I mean, she beat a former champion, but it just wasn't in a good way. And yeah, I think they're gonna probably give a matchup with someone below her again. But GDR, I mean, came back after a pregnancy and kind of didn't look the same to me either. So not really sure what to think about either of these girls. But at 135, they're still probably like both top 10. So, but
Yeah, gotta give props to GDR. Coming off the pregnancy, stepping back in there. She didn't look totally washed. And just like you, I don't know. I'm a fan of Norma Dumont too. I find myself picking her in almost every fight she's in. But like you said, this was not a great performance. What's your take on the third round? You think it should be stood up in that position she was in, where she was kind of threatening the
yeah, I mean,
submission, but
I don't think she was even trying to get the arm
she's just
triangle.
holding. So you think it
It
should be
was just
stood up?
stalling.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was just. I think she was like tricking the ref almost, but I don't know. I mean, GDR wasn't even trying to get up though either. So it's like I don't know how you really would want to. I think in that round though, she landed 0 strikes or something, which is really bad. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, speaking of really bad, next fight we'll get into my favorite fight on the card: sloppy
yeah,
heavyweights in
really bad. I
Apex.
mean, I don't know. I thought this fight was amazing, bro.
I love it too. I
But
love it. I really love it. Low level heavyweights in the Apex. It's my favorite thing. I mean, it's hilarious to me.
Brett,
And
like, dude, honestly, like, I don't know. I think Walker, like before the fight, I saw like I honestly I don't know if Danielle Brooks is a guy or girl or they, 2024. I don't know. But hopefully Danielle like she was saying that like she was watching 50 people and all 50 people picked Walter Walker to win except for me. I was like, how can you have that type of confidence in Walker? Like he had no striking and it showed in the fight. Like every time he was getting touched too, like I don't know about this guy's chin because Bresky's not a big puncher at all.
we're just not
And
good
like
at all.
yeah, and he was freezing Walker every time he touched him. It's like he wasn't. I don't think he was getting close to getting knocked out, but he just had horrible reactions. And his wrestling is good, but he just has no top game at all. Like nothing threatening from the top position, and he doesn't really have any striking. So I don't necessarily know. I guess at heavyweight, maybe he could beat a couple guys just by laying on him. But yeah, shout out to Bresky. He cashed that plus 220 tickets, so good for him. But yeah, I don't think he moved up that much in the division either. So, but what about you?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was this one video posted on Instagram of Walter Walker, one of his knockouts, and it was the worst knockout I've ever seen in my life. He threw the slowest combination. I can't believe the guy went. I seen that out, and I was like, "There's no way I'm betting this guy as a minus 200 favorite. Give me Bresky." That video was enough to convince me. I don't know if Walker, he's big. His wrestling was decent. He's still young. He's the youngest heavyweight on the roster. That stat pack popped up. I said give him Muhammad Usman, Battle of the Brothers.
Yeah, I would take Usman. I think Usman would knock him out, honestly. But I don't know. The last fight, Usman versus Mick Parkin, that fight, like, you think Bresky could compete with Parkin or no?
No, definitely not.
Parkin, yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if either of those guys are really going to stick around that long. But yeah, man, this next one, Alex Morono versus Court McGee. Yeah, I mean, this fight was interesting where Court McGee, I think, kind of figured out his path to victory in the second round with the takedowns, but just couldn't get it going again in the third or the first. Third round was kind of close, but Morono just got the job done here. Two veterans. I feel like Morono didn't have the best performance, but he got the win. And then Court McGee, I mean, for me, that's probably his last fight in the UFC, but they said he got a new 4-fight contract, so I don't know who they're going to put him up against now, but I think that's like 4 losses in a row or 5 losses in a row for him. But Morono, he's the guy that kind of is able to stick around and get wins, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, where do you think Court McGee goes from here? Like, who would you be able to match him up with a new contract? I mean,
I don't know. I was looking. I tried to do matchups for all the. I said give him Reese McKee, McGee versus McKee. I guess that's the best I could come up with if he's staying in the UFC. I seen some people saying he should go to bare knuckle. I don't like that either.
Already allowed to bare knuckle.
Yeah, even Morono, I would have liked to see a little more from him in this fight. I mean, he looked all right, but he was one of my most confident picks, to be honest, going in. I thought he would cruise style on him. I had him by decision, but I thought he would kind of dominate. This was kind of a lackluster fight, but
the guillotine was close. That was like the only like really good
I like Morono. I think he's a good fighter. I mean, he has good striking. I mean, he's got by far the worst build in the UFC. I mean, the guy by far has the worst body in the UFC. But besides that, I really like Morono. I think he's a real tough fighter, smart fighter, one of the smartest, most cerebral fighters. But yeah, this was a lackluster performance and not a great fight for me.
Yeah, but kicking off this main card, I mean, this was an awesome fight right here. Charlie Campbell versus Trevor Peek. Kind of what we expected. Charlie Campbell was way more skilled. He was able to really beat up his body pretty badly. He out-grappled him, but Trevor Peek just never quit, man. He was just in there, swinging bombs. He hurt Campbell a few times. And, yeah, I feel like both guys' stocks actually rose from this fight. Even though Trevor Peek lost, I think he showed again, you put him in there with anybody and he's going to probably make it a really fun fight. And Charlie Campbell, I think he has to clean some things up, but he's one of, like, these younger guys that I think is one of the most skilled guys in the division. Like, his striking is really clean. Like, the way he throws his punches, like, really straight punches, combinations, really good speed. His grappling is good. It's just he needs to, figure out how to pace himself and just stay out of danger, like, with his skill set. Because he's got really tired in the fight, and he just puts himself in, like, unnecessary danger. But I think Campbell could be really good. And Peek, I don't think he's ever going to really move up that far in the weight class, but he's going to put on some fun fights. So, what did you think about this fight?
Yeah, I mean, Peek is insane. I mean, he's the most exciting. He's got to be, I mean, one of the, if not the most exciting fighters in the UFC. It's just chaos. I mean,
Yeah.
the man when he tried to, I saw someone say he tried to win the fight by Indian burn when he was trying to pull his arm behind his back. I mean, the hammer fists. He's just crazy. I mean, Trevor Peek is just peak Trevor Peek. You know, that's just what he is. He's always gonna fight that way. I love it. You know, I'm probably gonna fade him in every single fight unless he's fighting, you know, an absolute trash can. I said give him Paddy Pimblett. That's a really fun fight. That I think Paddy will probably beat him, but that's a great fight, I think. And Charlie Campbell, I agree. I think he's real talented. The leg kicks were nasty. I mean, in the first like 2 minutes, Peek's leg was destroyed. I mean, Trevor Peek's just so tough. I mean, I really think a lot of other guys would have been put out of there with calf kicks. If you've seen his leg, it was welted up. Yeah, this was a real tough fight. Trevor Peek's gonna be a tough fight for anyone. Charlie Campbell passed the test. But yeah, like I said, I think he can still develop a little bit. He still has some holes in the game he's got to round out. But I like Charlie the Cannibal. I think he can definitely make some noise at 155.
Yeah, and the next fight, I mean, talk about someone that can maybe make some noise. I mean, to me, he's up and down. You know, Bahamondes, he's had some fights where it's like he dropped the ball as a big favorite, but when he wins, he usually just dominates and rolls over guys, and that's what happened on Saturday. Man, he went in there against Christos Yagos, just really dominated the entire fight. Yagos got like nothing going, and ended up getting that head kick knockout. So I think you just showed it 4 wins in his last 5 for Bahamondes. So he's definitely probably going to be in line for a big test in his next fight. But Yagos, kind of a veteran that I don't know if he's overstays welcome at this point. Maybe they'll give him another fight, but you kind of know where he is at this point, where he just kind of they're giving him to these prospects to take the loss for. So yeah, that's kind of what I saw from this fight in terms of Yagos versus Bahamondes. But what do you think? You think Bahamondes can get into the rankings and move up and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Ignacio is by far one of my favorite prospects, top prospects. I think really the one fight where he laid that egg was against John McDessie, because I think the Klein loss, no real shame in that. Ignacio's very, very young in his career, and Ludwig Klein's, a top fighter, in my opinion, top striker, tough matchup. But, I mean, this kid's striking offense. I know he eats some shots on the feet. The weight cut does probably concern me a little bit down the line because he's so big for 155. I mean, 6'3", and he has a frame on him. It's insane. But as far as like striking offense goes, like and exciting striking styles, Ignacio Bahamondes might be like top of my list. I mean, the uppercuts he were landing were sick. The spinning round kick to the head and then to the body, and then the head kick that finished the fight. And the wherewithal to not follow up, I thought was really respectful. So props to him there. And I love Bahamondes, one of my favorite fighters, really.
Yeah, that gym, VFS Academy. I mean, they're doing really good. They always produce really good strikers. So, yeah, I definitely think Bahamondes has a good future in the sport for sure. And for Yagos, would you give him another fight, or you think that that's probably it for him?
Yeah, I mean, I feel for him because he's had a real tough. If you look at the people he's fought, I mean, all studs: Bahamondes, Zelliver, even Rick Glenn, a win. That's a tough fight. Thiago Moises, Arman Sarukian, Sean Soriano, all Drakkar Close. I mean, these are all studs he's lost to. So it's tough. It's not like he's laying eggs, but this is four losses in the last 5. Maybe one more shot. I think they'll probably give him another shot.
Yeah. In the next fight, we got Trevor Peek fought him, and this is another guy you're saying maybe Trevor Peek is the most entertaining guy in the UFC, but Chepe Mariscal, I mean, this guy always goes in there and same type of fighter, throws bombs. But this one, man, honestly, I thought this was a robbery, to be honest. I thought Sharia won. You could even give him a 30-27 to me, but at least 29-28. But, yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it was a great fight. It was, like, back and forth. But I thought Sharia, won the striking for the most part and was able to win the majority of the grappling exchanges too. But Mariscal, made it his kind of fight, I guess, and judges rewarded him for that. So what about you? What did you think about the scoring on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, this was a heartbreaker for me. This was, I had the $5 parlay plus 5,000 odds to win 12,000, lost on, this one by the split decision. I knew I said at the beginning of the night, this was my, 50-50 fight. I had some parlays with Chepe in him too, because I knew, he was super live. But I mean, really, when I watched the fight, I thought Morgan won. I mean, I had a bad feeling in my gut just because I don't know, for whatever reason, but I'd have to rewatch it. I don't know if I had bias, but I really thought he won, especially if we're basing fights off damage. I don't see how Chepe did more damage in that first round. Really, I mean, the third round, I get it. He finished strong. I see the argument there, but I'm telling you, Morgan stuffed all those takedowns in the first round and was doing a lot of effective striking, especially towards the end of the first round. And I think got the better of the grappling. Chepe was more offensive, but Morgan was controlling where the fight was taking place. So I agree with you. I mean, of course, I got robbed, I think, but, still had a great night. Not going to be ungrateful, not going to be sour. It was a great, great fight. I mean, a real war. One of my favorite fights I've seen probably in 2024. So definitely appreciate these guys for going out there and putting on a show. And I rate both of these guys. I think both of these guys are studs, to be honest. Chepe 3-0 now in the UFC. Morgan drops to 1-1, but both of these guys are to look out for at 145. This should have been the co-main event. Both these guys washed Hernandez and Damon Jackson. Easy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the way Morgan was taking those shots was crazy too. Like he has like a crazy chin. Like he was just like eating them like no reaction. Like, so I think Sharia, like he's like really skilled, but he has all these losses by split decision. Like whenever it goes to split, they never give him the win, man. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like that's been the story of his career, but hopefully he can, fix that because he's super talented. It's kind of like there's certain guys that lose a lot of splits. Like, see, like all his last three losses.
Masvidal early in his career, I know how to.
All of them are like
exactly majority. It's crazy. I
split.
seen that when I was looking at. Didn't even render
crazy.
The split. So of course he's gonna lose it. But yeah, it was a great fight. Really a great scrap. Even the co-main, we can get right into it. Was a good fight, really, in my opinion. Jackson, I had him as an underdog here. I thought he looked all right. Not great. Alexander Hernandez, he's someone I had bet on a lot, but recently I've really soured towards. To me, just doesn't have enough offense. He doesn't put up enough output, and he has holes in his cardio and his grappling games that Damon Jackson exploited. It was still a close fight, but I definitely think Jackson was the rightful winner. Used his ground game to control the fight. Yeah, what's your opinion on this fight that we had for the co-main event?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, I thought Hernandez was gonna win. I thought he had a horrible game plan. Like I don't know what he was doing in the fight. Like I feel like he could have easily won that fight. Factory X, I think like they kind of messed Hernandez up. Like even though he was already going down a little bit, like if he would have kept that berserker style, I think he would still be a lot more successful. But even in the third round, it's like he's down 2 rounds. He has to know that. Or I don't know, I guess, but he drops him and then he just starts grappling with him. It's like, bro, like you got to try to finish this guy, but no urgency from Hernandez in the fight to me to get the finish. And he took the loss. Damon Jackson, I still don't really think he's that good either. Like I think he would lose to almost every guy that's ranked, but he's had a decent second run in the UFC, so shout out to him. He got cut and then he came back and he's been winning most of his fights, but I still think when you move either of these guys up to like top 15 level, they're definitely going to lose. So kind of gatekeepers a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, the main event, I'll let you talk about this one first. I mean, I thought this was one of the best main events of the year that we've had so far. So,
yeah, 100%. I agree. I know the underdogs kind of all year have been kicking in these main events, and Chris Curtis, especially on short notice, he put in a great fight for underdog. Especially his leg being hurt apparently earlier in the fight. Who knows? We really saw it, show at the end of the 5th round. And based on what we know now, after the fact, that really kind of seems as like what it won Allen the fight because he needed that 5th round. If Curtis won the 5th round, on the judges' scorecards, that was it. Curtis was winning the fight. He was ahead. It all came down to that fifth round, and Curtis was doing good work in the beginning of the fifth round. He was definitely ahead. And then, there was kind of that weird sequence. I know Allen did attack the legs a little earlier. I think right in the round before, he went for the leg lock. I don't know how much damage that did, if it was even on the same leg. I don't know if they were correlated. But, shout out to Allen. He capitalized when he noticed Curtis had a weird reaction. He didn't, stall. He ran in. He landed that jump knee and poured on the damage, and he did what he had to do. He's not deserving of a title shot. I thought it was kind of whack that he even asked for it. Call out Sean Strickland, the guy that beat you, the guy that has no fight booked. Middleweight, it's kind of obvious what's going on. You got Khamzat Robert, and then you got Izzy versus DDP, which Strickland's salty about, but whatever, he'll have to get over it. You do Allen Strickland, that's a pretty huge fight. If Allen beats Strickland, he'll have a huge name. He was talking about how in the post-fight interview he doesn't have that big following, whatever, but he doesn't really care. You beat Sean Strickland, you're going to have a following. But you just got to compete with, the performance of Whitaker versus Khamzat, because they're going to, be trying to get Khamzat that title shot if he beats Whitaker. But, yeah, shout out to Chris Curtis, Action Man, coming in short notice. Hell of a fight. Landing bombs on the feet. The body work, nasty. Probably maybe best body work in the UFC, some best boxing. And I'm a big fan of Brendan Allen. I had him here. I had him by decision because you're not putting away Chris Curtis. You're not subbing him. He has no neck. You can't knock him out. He's a beast. But, yeah, break this fight down for everyone.
Yeah, man. I mean, I actually I bet on Brandon by decision too, but I thought Curtis won the fight, but it was close, so I'll take it. But man, I mean, if it's about damage, I get it's kind of hard. I guess you could say, oh well, he got damaged at the end of the fight, but it was an injury, pretty much. Like I thought that Curtis did way more damage. I mean, Allen was able to hit the takedowns pretty easily. He got to the back, but he couldn't really do anything when he got to those positions. He let Curtis back up, and yeah, I mean, I thought Curtis won that fight, but they gave it to Brendan Allen. I was happy about it because of the bet that I had, and I agree with you, though. I mean, I definitely don't think that he should get a title shot. I mean, he is on a long win streak, but yeah, the Strickland fight makes sense. I mean, I don't think Strickland would like that fight. I mean, having to fight someone that he already beat, like below him in the rankings, but maybe he'll have to do what he has to do and take on Allen. Honestly, to me, like I feel like the UFC's smart, though. They would give Strickland like a big name because he's like one of the biggest names in the UFC. But if they want to build Allen potentially, I mean, give him that chance. If they fought, I mean, would you favor Strickland again to get the win?
Yeah, I think if I look back, I probably had Allen in that first fight. I think Strickland fucked me there. I don't know. I think I would go Strickland, to be honest. I think Strickland's leveled up, and I think he's a better fighter. I mean, the takedowns do scare me, though. I think Sean's a fighter. I mean, we've seen it against Drickus. He can get taken down. And Brendan Allen, his takedowns look good. I know Chris Curtis was able to roll into him, sweep him, get on top, but Chris Curtis is a hard guy to take down. A lot of people were talking about, his takedown defense coming into this fight, the stats that he had coming into this fight. It was very hard to take Chris Curtis down. And I think Brendan Allen to start the fight was like 4 out of 5 on takedowns. So I would really have to look into it, but I think Sean. What about you?
Yeah, I think Sean would get it. I mean, another thing about this fight that you have to, maybe the reason why Chris was getting taken down is because he only had like 10 days notice for the fight, anyway. So like if he had full training camp, I don't think Allen would have been taking him down that easily. But yeah, I mean, even when Allen got him down though, he didn't have any offense. So if he was fighting like someone like Strickland, or even if Curtis had a full camp, I feel like Curtis probably would have won that one. So yeah, I honestly think Allen, even though he got I don't think his stock dropped necessarily, but if he would have went out there and dominated Curtis and called for the title shot, it would have made a lot more sense. You know what I'm saying? But the way he won kind of put him back a little bit, I think. But yeah, man, moving on to UFC 300 now. So let's get into those odds and talk about those fights. We got what do you want to do? You want to talk about the main event first? Or you want to talk about the first fight?
Let's build it up. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up the new screens here, and then we'll start. But yeah, let's build it up. So let's start with Cody versus Figgy, which, I mean, the fact that this is the first fight on the card is absolutely insane. I mean, we see Figgy coming in as pretty heavy favorite, minus 300 over Cody, plus 260. What do you like in the opener of the prelims? Two former champions taking each other on. I mean, UFC 300 is insane, dude.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, the fact that's the first fight at night. I mean, that could definitely be Apex headliner. That's better fight than,
Easily.
That's better than, like, just on paper. I mean, I know Allen versus Curtis was a banger, but that's like a better fight on paper than Curtis versus Allen to me. Like, if you're just looking at it, like, to put as a main event. But and they've been, like, they've had beef for a while. Like, I don't know if you remember, like, 3 years ago, like, they had that video where, like, Cody, like, walked up on Figueiredo and they were, like, about to fight after, I don't remember. It was, like, some pay-per-view, like, but
yeah, I think, like, when Cody was trying to do a sit at 125, it was right around when Davison was the champ.
Yeah, they actually set it up like they were going to fight at 125. It was going to be Cody versus Davison, and now they're going to do it at 35, which I guess benefits Cody, but, you know, the time doesn't benefit him, you know, it was like 3 years later. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think – I don't know what the odds are going to be for Figueiredo to win inside the distance, but I don't like, you know, minus 310. It's kind of steep. Like, even though he looked really good against Font, and I think he'll probably be able to win this one pretty easily. I mean, Garbrandt, you know, maybe he'll be motivated and be able to pull something out, but honestly, I think Figueiredo is going to be the bigger guy in there, even though he's fight at 125 and he's more powerful. He's going to have the submission threat. So I don't see a lot of path to victory for Cody here, but what about you?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I'm a huge fan of Cody. I wasn't always because I'm a TJ Dillashaw guy. That's one of my all-time favorites. But over the years, I'm a huge fan of Cody, you know. But Figgy was so impressive in his fight against Rob Font. I thought he would struggle. He, you know, really worked Rob Font. The one thing I will propose is that Figgy did use a lot of wrestling in his fight against Rob Font, which is a game plan we've seen, you know, repeated. You know, rinse and repeat. You can take Rob Font down and control him. Have we seen someone take Cody down and control him? I don't know if Figgy's going to be able to work the wrestling against Cody. But even on the feet, I mean, that's the thing. I think I still favor Davison. I think, you know, the speed, the power, you know, definitely the durability, you know, the leg kicks, everything. I got to go Davison. Like you said, the line's a little steep. I might be interested to see what Figueiredo likes on decision. You know, I think Cody's going to come in form. I think this is going to be a close fight, but I think Figueiredo is going to do a little more damage. And I'll take him right now to Cody not get knocked out, and I'll see this one go to the judges. I think you can get some good value on that. And really, I think a good strategy is if there's close fights, I think taking decision is the smartest way to go. Because when you see two fighters who are evenly matched, a lot of times it ends up going to scorecards.
Yeah, well, you could look right there. If you click that one, you'll see like what the over is. And you'll see like so the over 1.5 is minus 180. So it'll probably be plus money maybe for it to go to decision based off of that.
Yeah,
you know, probably. So yeah, but yeah, the second fight, Jim Miller versus Bobby Green. Honestly, man, I mean, when I first saw the matchup, like I was thinking Bobby Green all day, but more than I'm thinking about it, I mean, Bobby Green got killed his last fight.
exactly.
Like that was a horrible, horrible KO. And even that fight before, like versus Tony, he got dropped in that fight in the first round. Or I guess he fought Dawson, but that wasn't even a fight, really. I mean, he just caught him with one punch. But if he does that to Miller, I mean, shout out to him, but, you know, it's probably not very likely. But, yeah, like, I feel like Miller has a chance in that first round to get the finish. Like, I think that'd probably be good odds, too. If it gets out of the first round and he survives, like, Miller almost finishing him, then he's probably going to lose a decision just because he gets tired now, especially with his age. But the one thing is a lot of Miller's fights, like he's gotten tired in and lost, you know, he comes in with limited preparation time And this one, he's had a long training camp. He's known he's going to fight on the state for a long time. So I think he's going to be in good shape. And obviously, right now, he's confident. He's been getting a lot of finishes and looking good. This is a big step up in competition, like from the guys that he's been beating. But I think it's a dog or pass on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Jersey. I'm Jim Miller, UFC 100, 200, 300. Come on,
Yeah,
man. You
he
can't
just
pick
has to
against him,
win,
man.
right?
Come on.
300.
You got it. I mean, I like the under two because I think Miller can sub Green. I think he can knock him out. Like you said, I think Green took a lot of. I mean, he's already a guy who's had a lot of fights. Took a lot of damage in that last fight, man. It was a
Yeah.
brutal knockout by Jalen Turner. And Miller can crack. I see other paths to victory from Miller. If he can use that grappling, even get some control time, I think he could be in trouble on the feet. I mean, he might get peppered up by Bobby Green.
Yeah.
Bobby just got that slick striking style that he's gonna have a big speed edge. I think. Jim fucking Miller. He's gonna crack him. Something's gonna happen. He can't lose. He can't do it. I don't know. I'm not picking against Jim Miller in this fight. He's gonna pull through. I really believe it. I mean, the story. Sometimes stories just write themselves. And he's gonna put in the work that's necessary. And I think Jim Miller is, one of the best dogs you can bet on this card.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm glad we both agree on that one. I think you can't go with Bobby after that last fight, man. At juice, like almost 2-1 odds. I think it's kind of crazy.
And it's really not even been like it's been what 6 months, 7 months. That's not a long. It's not like he's taken a year off. Like when we see a really bad beating, like
Here,
Kattar
hold up.
come back.
Can you click on the Jim Miller real quick? Because they fought before. I want to see like what the odds were before, like when they. I think you can look at that, or maybe not, because I guess they didn't fight. But I know they were scheduled to fight like a couple times. So I would have been curious to know like what the odds were like when they were supposed to fight like last year or whatever. But yeah, I mean I think it's definitely dog or pass with Miller, man. And what do you think though? You think he's gonna finish? Or you think it'll be a finish?
Yeah, I mean, I can see a plan. It's a little tough because I think, there's a path to victory where he kind of plays it safe, wrestles him hard, but I don't know if he even has the gas tank to do that. Like you said, I think the under at plus money, we had it here, plus 116 for under 2.5. I think that's a pretty solid bet, to be honest, because I think even Bobby Green can definitely. We've seen Jim Miller knocked out, and if Bobby Green starts, finding his flow state and putting the shots together, I think he'll get him out of there. So I think the under is a good bet there.
Yep. All right, and then we got this next fight, Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. This one, I don't have a lot of interest in this one. It's hard for me to kind of get a read on it. I'm going to look into it more and maybe something will pop out to me, but I'll let you go first on this one and kind of see if you have a good read on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Jessica Andrade, I think, most people would say she's one of the harder fighters to predict. She just can either look really good or, really not great. I'm, fairly confident, to be honest, in Marina Rodriguez. I know that Andrade has that path to victory with the grappling. Marina has a massive hole in her game. We've seen it exploited before. But, Andrade is really aging. She's had a lot of fights. I think Marina is going to be hungry. And I really rate Marina as a striker. I think she does a lot of damage. I think she's going to be, so rangy that she's just going to hurt Jessica coming in. And that's just what I see happening. I think Jessica's going to get clipped, might even get stopped, to be honest. But, it's tough because Jessica Andrade, you never know. And she has a really clear path to victory here if she's able to get the wrestling going. But I haven't seen Jessica Andrade put that wrestling heavy game plan in a while, not that I can remember at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, like I said, for me, I don't really got a strong read right now, but I was leaning like Rodriguez just because she's the underdog. And like you said, it doesn't seem like Andrade really likes to wrestle as much these days. So if it stays standing, I mean, you'd think Rodriguez would probably edge it out on volume unless she just gets clipped with some big shots. But yeah, but that one to me, I don't really got a good read on that one right now. But Jalen Turner versus Moicano, Honestly, I feel like Moicano's turning around too fast from his last fight with Dober. And he could go out there and maybe get Turner out of there early. I feel like he has a better chance than people are giving him because people see like Jalen Turner's fight with Gamrot and his fights maybe with a couple other grapplers, but I feel like Gamrot, he's one of those wrestlers where he has great wrestling but no control. So if Moicano can actually get into, a dominant position, I think he has a lot better chance to grind it out and control that position. And if he can do it early, maybe he could get Turner tired and force him into a mistake or win that decision. But I feel like he's coming back a little too fast, and I think his chin is questionable. Like he definitely gets clipped early. He's been knocked out a couple times, so I'm leaning towards Turner, and I think he's probably going to win via KO.
Yeah, I'm not exactly the same, and I'm fairly confident. Moicano's a great fighter. I'm a huge fan of him as well, but he's taken a lot of damage. He's had some real nasty knockouts. A lot of his fights are war. He took a lot of damage in his last fight. I just don't see him being able. He's a guy who fought at 145. Jalen Turner's massive. I don't see him being able to get his wrestling going against someone like Jalen Turner. And I think we see a pretty, maybe it's a knee from Jalen Turner, maybe it's, a straight right hand, something on the feet. I think he stops Moicano. But you don't want to sleep on Moicano too much because he's a very, talented striker as well. It's not just the grappling. I know he's really been relying heavy on the grappling recently, but in preparation for this, I actually rewatched his fight with Calvin Kattar, and that was a really impressive performance by Moicano. I was watching the fight because I wanted to see how Kattar matched up with a grappler, and Moicano didn't wrestle him at all. He just beat him on the feet for 3 rounds. So maybe, who knows? Maybe even if Moicano can't get the takedown, he can hang on the feet with Jalen Turner. But I just have the sense that Jalen Turner is, really a stud, to be honest, and just at a level above Moicano at this point in their careers. And I think he's going to put him away. I got Turner by knockout, and that'd probably be one of my best props on the night. As far as, still got to wait till, we get closer, watch weigh-ins. Always, I'm huge on weigh-ins, huge on face-offs, seeing how the guys look. I think that's very important. But as far as, getting these bets in early, trying to beat some lines, I like Jalen Turner a lot.
What would you want to like have, like if you wanted to bet the KO price, like what would you want it to be, like plus 150 or better, or what
yeah, exactly. If I could get it plus 200, that would be nice. I don't think it'll be there, but like plus 180 even would be nice. I just hope it's not like, plus 110, plus 120. That would suck.
Yeah. Then this next fight, like you're saying, Diego Lopez versus Sodiq Yusuff. What do you think about this one?
This is, it's a real tough fight for me. I have not been really high on the, Diego Lopez hype train. I kind of faded him a couple of times where I shouldn't have. He cost me some money, and I normally pick Sodiq Yusuff in his fights, but based on what I've seen, like Lopez is a guy, man. He's what he's doing over, head coach of his team. He's devoted to MMA. He's a student of the game, a teacher of the game. This is his life. Martial arts is his lifestyle. He's getting the UFC machine behind him, and I think it's for good reason. He has that crazy grappling game that we know. His jiu-jitsu is maybe the best in the entire division. The striking's a little raw, but he's powerful. He's smart. And Yusuff is a great fighter. He's a great striker, but we've seen it in his last fight. We've seen it against his fight against Arnold Allen. He can gas, he can slow down, he can get hit. And I think Lopez is going to get him out of there and make good on this. I think the UFC has put in Diego Lopez on UFC 300 for a reason. I don't think this fight was booked for Sodiq Yusuff. As great of a fighter as he is, I think this fight was made because they want Diego Lopez on 300 and they want to build him as a star in the sport.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think this line flipped too. I'm pretty sure Yusuff opened as the slight favorite, and now Lopez is almost minus 150. So a lot of money has been coming in on Lopez, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, man. I feel like one thing that we know about Sodiq Yusuff is he's super explosive. He's like a very fundamentally sound striker, but he doesn't have the greatest chin. And like you said, Lopez is kind of unrefined on the feet, but he makes it work, and his power is really good. So I feel like Yusuff, he when he gets hurt, he likes to bail himself out with these takedowns, and then he'll just lay on these guys and win fights that way. And if he tries to go that way with Lopez, he's just going to get submitted. So unless he can just have a perfect fight on the feet where maybe he gets to him early with the calf kicks or put some damage on Lopez early where it takes away Lopez's kind of dynamic ability to finish him or hurt him, then I think that Lopez is going to get him when he gets a little bit tired and rock him and then probably submit him. So it's kind of what I'm thinking, like Lopez second, third round, or Lopez to win inside the distance there. But yeah, even the line right now, like honestly, I would have liked the line better when he was plus money, but I don't know. I don't know if I would bet it at minus 146 personally at this point. But what do you think about that money line?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it still could be a decent price. I think he could still look good and finish the fight. I mean, like you said, I think as the fight extends to the later rounds, I think Lopez is going to take over. Maybe the KO prop will be good. I'm sure the submission prop will probably be a heavy tag because Lopez is known as the submission artist. But I think he can throw too, even if he gets a takedown to some ground and pound control, and Sadiq's tired and looks for a way out. Lopez is going to be hungry for a finish. I really think so. I think this kid wants to perform. I think he wants a memorable performance on this historic card. I think it'll mean a lot to him. So
Yeah.
I got
So that
Lopez. I if he's going to win the fight, I don't mind the line. You know what I mean? It's not the best, but 150. It's not too heavy of a price. But yeah, I would be cautious because Super Sadiq Yusuff. He's a great fighter. He's super dynamic on the feet, good striking, well rounded. Probably gonna be tough to take down, but I think Diego Lopez got more of a dog in him, and he's
yeah.
gonna make it that style fight where the dog is gonna come out.
And talking about overpriced line, I mean, I think this line is kind of crazy with Kayla Harrison coming in almost 5-1, minus 460 against Holly Holm, who's plus 360. And man, in my opinion, there's a ton of pressure on Kayla Harrison, coming into this fight. I mean, she's already older. Like, I think she's like over 35. So it's not like she has a lot of time. If she can win this fight, I mean, I think she'll be able to win the UFC title. Like, it's as easy as that to me. Like, because if she fights Raquel Pennington or these other girls where she's going to be a lot more athletic and a lot more physical, I think it's an easier fight than Holly. Even Juliana Pena, like her takedown defense is terrible. So I think that's a good matchup for Kayla, even though I like Pena a lot. But this one, I think it's a little bit of a harder matchup. I mean, Holly Holm, if she comes in on point, I mean, she's going to be motivated. She's going to have good strength in the clinch. I mean, we've seen her be able to out clinch a lot of girls. So if she can kind of just negate that clinch and keep it on the outside with Harrison, I think she has a chance here to get the win. But as a pure pick, I mean, Holly's like almost 50 years old, so I think Kayla's gonna get the win. But yeah, I think that line is off, man. Like I really don't get how she like minus 550 on that one. She'll probably be like minus 700 on fight night. So I don't know, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean the line's crazy. She's never fought anyone like near the level of Holly Holm, but at Holly's home age, I can't back her. There's a lot of parallels to that Ronda fight. Big underdog fighting that Olympic level judoka, but this is not the Holly Holm from. I think that fight was like 10 years ago almost now, which is insane. Um, yeah, I don't like how Holly Holm looked in her last fight. I think Harrison's going to submit her, to be honest. The real question mark I have is how's Kayla Harrison going to look on the scales? 135.
Yeah, that's
Was
a good
never
point.
even really talked about. Like she was like going to come into UFC as a 145er. That was when Amanda was still around, even in the Cyborg days, maybe 135. She was fighting at 155. That's 20 pounds. She definitely has a lot of muscle. She can definitely lean out. That might even help her. Might even help the gas tank. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how she looks on the scales. But as long as she makes the weight cut, which I'm sure she will, this is a girl who's an Olympic gold medalist. The best in the world. A absolute professional. I know Kayla Harrison, kind of cringy, not the biggest favorite fighter, but you have to respect what she's done for combat sports, especially on the female side. One of the best ever, and I think this is going to be a long-awaited UFC win for her, and I think she'll submit, Holly Holm or end the fight, as soon as it gets to the ground. She might only need one takedown, to be honest.
Yeah, I bet you that'll be a good price, honestly. Harrison to win inside the distance. It'll definitely probably be plus money, I would think. But because not that many people, only Myra, I think, is the only one that finished Holly, right? Like with, I guess, Misha Tate in the 5th round. But
Yeah.
yeah. But man, this next one, this is a fight that I've been really looking forward to. Aljamain Sterling. My opinion, I think he should still be on the pound for pound list, top 15. I think he's one of the best fighters currently, and he's moving up here. And he's going to get a chance to show how he looks at a bigger weight. Where I think he is going to surprise people with the size that he has. I feel like he's going to be one of the bigger guys at 145 too. Like I've seen him in person, and I've seen him with other 145ers, and he's huge. So I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Like I think he's going to fit right in the weight class. But this is a tricky fight just because obviously, if you want to think about one thing that Sterling doesn't really deal with the best, it's guys that have good boxing, because he could keep it on the outside and kick, and he can use that kind of rangy creative striking. But if guys can walk him down and deny the takedowns and use their hands, I mean, that's, something that's given Sterling some issues. But I just feel like Kattar's too one-dimensional here. I think Sterling's going to be too athletic too. Like I feel like he's going to be able to move around him. I think he'll be able to use his kicks effectively, especially. And I think he'll get a couple of takedowns too. And if he can get to a dominant position, he could submit anybody. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him submit Kattar. And I think it's going to be a good price, Aljo by submission. So that's potentially going to be one of the props that I look at. But I like Sterling in this one here.
Yeah, I mean, personally, Calvin Kattar, one of my absolute favorite fighters. I mean, really, like top 10 favorite fighter. Like you said, I think Aljo, Kattar's a big 45er. He's a tall 45er. I think people are overlooking that Aljo's moving up, that he's going to be small. I don't think that's the case. That I share the same exact opinion as you. I think he'll fill in great to 145. I would love to pick Kattar in this fight, but this is a theme we're going to see on 300. There's some fighters coming off injuries. Kattar's coming off a bad knee injury. I'm not sure if it was ACL, MCL, whatever it was. One thing, it's really hard to wrestle after a knee injury. It's really hard to get back. You can start that striking, start that, wrestling's the last thing to recover from knee surgery. So, and Aljo, that's, I think that Aljo, he can compete on the feet, but if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to get takedowns. And if you look at Kattar's record, he just hasn't fought that many grapplers. So it's really hard to tell, because not that many people have really gone in there against Kattar with a grappling heavy game plan. But something tells me Aljo's going to make a successful 145 debut. And if he could submit Calvin Kattar, get him out of there, wow, that would be a statement. I mean, he would be, in my opinion, he would be right in line for a title shot, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I don't know, I mean, I don't think he's being serious. Like, when you're saying he's like going to try to replicate the Max Holloway game plan and all that, like if he just boxes with the guy, I mean, that's like the worst thing you could do. But I think he's just messing around there.
Aljo likes to have fun. I think, he says a lot of stuff in jest. He'll go in there with a solid game plan. He's got to know you don't want to stand with Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, but man, this next fight, I'll let you go first on this one. This one, to me, it's like kind of like Russian roulette, right? But Jiri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. I mean, what do you think about this one?
Rakic, another guy I really like. I don't think I've ever picked against him. Yuri was a guy, honestly, I faded him against Alex. I faded him against Glover. I think I even faded him against Dominic Reyes, which was absolutely terrible. I really thought Jiri was lacking a lot of, basic skills. He was kind of just wild. I thought he was overrated. Rakic will be a lot more technical. I think he's going to really need to wrestle here, because I think on the feet it might be one-way traffic. I mean, I know Rakic has that nasty leg kick and a really solid striking game, but, for me, Yuri's just a different monster. I think he's going to be super hungry, and I'm really looking at this card. This is like a monumental UFC 300 card, historic. there's a lot of fighters on this card, you know, the Jim Millers, the Diego Lopez's, you know, who are looking to the Bo Nickals, you know, make their stamp in UFC history. And I think Jury is one of those guys who this spot on this card, you know, this means a lot to him. You know, he's right there for the title shot. You know, he wants that. He's hungry. He thinks the last fight could have gone his way had he been given the shot. So I think Yuri's going to get a knockout here. Really, it's tough to pick against Rakic. It really is because I'm so high on him. But he's another guy coming off a layoff, coming off a knee injury. I don't know what his wrestling is going to look like. And I think that would have to be his path to victory. I can't say I'm too confident, but as of right now, I got to go Yuri, you know, and it's tough to do that because, you know, had this fight been a year ago, I would have been 100% on Rakic. Even when I think the fight got announced, I was on Rakic. But I don't know. Something tells me Yuri's going to put him away, sleep him.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm picking Rakic right now, but I don't have a strong opinion on the fight. Like you said, like I said at the beginning, to me it's kind of like Russian roulette because I don't know how exactly, like you said, I don't know how Rakic's wrestling is going to look after the layoff. Like if he didn't have the layoff, I think he'd be like a bigger favorite and be able to use his wrestling. I think he's going to be bigger than Jury. That's one thing that I think people are kind of overlooking a little bit. Like if he clinches him up and has him against the cage and all that, like you saw how much more physical like Glover was than Yuri. Like he was like ragdolling him. So if Rakic can get in those positions, I think he'll take him down really easily. And you don't know it either, like how Yuri, that last fight, like it was quick and he got knocked out. There was no grappling in the fight. Like I don't know how his shoulder is going to be at all. Like I don't know how he'll look like if fight's extended. Like that was a really bad injury to me. But yeah, I mean, he definitely could knock Rakic out too, though. Like he has that ability to KO anybody. So at plus money, I mean, I think if you're getting Jury at plus money against any fighter, it's not a bad bet to bet on him because he could get the win on any given night against anybody. So yeah, man. I mean, that's another fight where it's like that's a main event fight right there, but it's going to be kicking off the main card, right? Or that might be the prelim.
Last fight on the prelim, yeah.
Yeah,
with some people.
Yeah,
and I think another thing to note, sorry, not to interrupt, but
no worries,
is how Jury will react. You know, he's a fighter. His whole fighting style is, I know I picked Jury and I'm contradicting myself, is, you know, warrior, rely on his chin, taking that damage. He got put out in his last fight. You know, I'm sure there's, you know, he's got a great mindset, but there's got to be question marks still lingering. You know, if that chin's there, you know, if he gets hit, how it's going to hold up, if it's going to hold up the same. You know, you never know. So it's definitely a tough fight to predict. I really don't think you can be too confident on this one. But I'm still, as of right now, going to back Yuri, and I think he's going to sleep him. I don't think Yuri's winning the decision.
Yeah, Yuri's one of those guys too, where it's like he'll get hurt in like every fight that he's in. Like he'll get almost knocked out. Even that fight you're talking about, like you picked Reyes over him, and it was a bad bet. But I mean, he knocked him out. Reyes KO'd him with the up kick or whatever he did. He just like woke up or whatever. But
that was a crazy fight. One of my favorite finishes ever. That spinning back elbow was. Whew.
Yeah, that was sick. I mean, dude, his first few finishes, like the finish he had against Volkan too, was so nasty. Like. But yeah, man, people were bitching about this. I mean, first fight on the main card, Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage. You know, people thought that it was disrespectful that Nickal was on the main card. I mean, first off, what do you think about that? You think Bo Nickal should be on the main card, or you think, you know, he should have been lower?
I would have put him lower on the main card, but I'm not mad about it. I understand what the UFC is doing. You know, when I was, you know, in high school wrestling, when I was really, you know, looking into wrestling, a fan of the sport of wrestling, collegiate wrestling, Bo Nickal was at the top of his game. And I said it to my wrestling coach at the time. I was like, yo, this guy's going to go in the UFC. He just has that style. And it's because he wasn't like a marauding wrestler, like he was just so funky. And it was almost like he was doing jiu-jitsu moves sometimes out on the mat, the way he would roll guys and flip them and choke them. And he was just so sick at Penn State. And, you know, the UFC's at a point right now where the superstars, you know, John Jones, Conor McGregor, you know, that's kind of all there is right now as far as big superstars go. I know Sean O'Malley, Izzy, you know, those guys too, Strickland to an extent, Poatan. Bo Nickal's a guy the UFC can get behind and can become a face of the sport, in my opinion. That's how good he is. So if they want to give him the spotlight on this huge card, they're doing it for a reason, because this guy is someone for years and years to come that at least, Bo Nickal not too young, but for a while, the promotion is going to get behind to try to build as a top superstar. So they're giving him a huge chance, and he's going to go out there and perform. Cody Brundage,
Yeah.
I would have liked to see a harder fight. I mean, he's going to it's hard to pick Bo Nickal fights for me, because I just how does he want to finish him? Does he want to submit him or knock him out? If you look at Brundage, he was getting dominated in the grappling by Cedric Dumas, which is one of the worst performances in UFC history, bar none.
Yeah, he jumped guillotine on Rodolfo Vieira. I mean,
Bo Nickal's gonna destroy him, man.
yeah. I mean, what do you
I'm
think
not mad at the main card slot.
as a wrestler? As a wrestler, what do you think about the? I don't know if you saw it, but the whole Bo Nickal versus Jordan Burroughs thing. Did you see that where he was like talking shit to him on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, Burroughs in his day, I think works. He was, Bo Nickal, as great as he was, Burroughs is GOAT status in freestyle wrestling. GOAT status up there with anyone,
Yeah, but I'm saying, what did you think about the whole, like, did you see what they were arguing about where Bo was saying, like, because Jordan was, like, I don't remember.
How he never made he always talked about wanted to go into MMA and never made the transition.
No. It was like, so I can't remember who it was, but it was one of Bo's teammates from Penn State, and he was like wrestling, and Jordan was doing the commentary, and he knew that the guy had like a knee injury or like some injury, right? So Jordan said on the broadcast, like, he was like, well, if I'm wrestling him, I'm going right after his leg. Like, he said that, like, I'm gonna go right after his injury. And then Bo Nickal was tweeted like, you're classless, you're fit, you're fraud, you're fake. Like, I don't know, he was like going at him for that, saying it was like unprofessional. But to me, it's like that's like common sense, right? But I guess it was his friend,
Yeah, whatever. I don't know why you're getting mad about that. It's the truth. If you take advantage, if there's a path to take it there.
Yeah. But yeah, Bo, like you said, I mean, this fight is just basically a squash match. I mean, even the under 1.5 minus 330, like, I mean, that's like crazy. But under half a round plus 180, what do you think about that? I don't even know what book that was that had that line, but
I would think maybe he takes a little more methodical approach. I don't know. Like I said, if there's a Russian roulette, it's how Bo's gonna finish him in what round and knockout or submission. I don't know. I think maybe submission because he got the knockout in his last fight, but real tough to call for me.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I mean, I don't know what, like, that line. I mean, I don't know how far you could make it before someone would want to bet on Cody, but even there, I think he has no value at all. So, but yeah, man. I mean, this fight's a real fight. This isn't a bullshit fight like this other one. Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. Man, I mean, I'm like a huge Charles fan. I love Charles, but on paper, this isn't a good matchup for him. Arman, I think he should probably be able to use the grappling and get the win here. I mean, Charles has a chance to get the finish, but I don't know. I think it's going to be the new breed taking over on this one. I know, like, 155, though, like, if you look at it, like, all the, like, Poirier beat Benoit Saint Denis, Gaethje beat Fiziev. I think there was, like, a couple other ones where they kind of took out some of these.
Booker beat Turner.
Yeah, but, man, I mean, I just think matchup-wise, like, Poirier versus Benoit, like, I thought that was a good matchup for Dustin. I know everyone was picking Benoit there, but I just thought it was a good matchup. This one, I just don't think it's a good matchup for Charles on paper. I wish they would have just given Charles that title shot, get him paid again. And but yeah, I think Arman might win this one here.
Yeah, this is a real tough fight. Everyone loves Charlie Olives. I mean, we've seen Arman, if he has that grappling game plan, which I think he has to, because I think, as good as Arman on the feet, I mean, Charles Oliveira, the striking is a different monster. I mean, what he did to Justin Gaethje, what he did to Chandler, what he did to Dariush in his last fight. I mean, his striking is nasty. And as good as Arman is, I just don't know if he wants to hang out on the feet against Charles. I think he'll get kicked in the ribs. Charles will get that front body kick going, that teep to the body going. He'll be snappy with the 1-2s. In the grappling, I mean, he's Charles Oliveira. He's the most prolific finisher, most prolific submission artist in history. But I think Armin's, that next breed, next level, he's going to get the job done.
Like you were saying, Armin, didn't he got dropped his last fight, right? By that like Brazilian guy that came in on short notice? Didn't
Yeah,
he get
2 fights ago, because he fought Dariush. He
Oh,
watched
yeah,
Dariush,
yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
he had
I
that tough
bet on
fight.
Dariush in that fight, and
Really.
that's got me like, because that's a different matchup though. Because Dariush, like if they got into grappling scrambles, I think Dariush should have won that. But Armin just took him out so quick on the feet. But if they grapple like Charles and Armin, I just feel like Armin will end up winning that. But yeah, man. Now we're getting on to these title fights. We got the BMF title fight first. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. And man, I mean, this fight to me is super hard to call because I feel like Max is the better fighter. Like he has the link. Southpaws have given Justin some problems, and he's gonna be able to cut angles. He's not gonna be standing in front of Justin. I think the volume and the cardio for Max is gonna be potentially posing problems for Justin too. But it's just how many jabs is it going to take for Justin to kind of like mess up Max's face, bust one of his eyes, or how many leg kicks is it going to take him to maybe slow Max down? Man, I just don't. The one thing I don't want to see is another, Tony situation where Justin takes Max's chin too. I mean, at that point, I don't know. That would be kind of sad for me. But yeah, I feel like personally right now, I think it's a dog or pass at plus 150, and I think the odds will get better because I think people are really heavy on Gaethje here. But I think Holloway, could pose some issues. It's just if he could take that accumulation of damage, But for now, I'm going to say Holloway gets it done, but I could end up changing my pick on this one.
Yeah, so I thought I was gonna, come in here crazy for doing the same thing, picking Holloway, but you're backing
Oh,
it
good
too.
shit.
I love Justin Gaethje. I don't know if I've ever picked against him before. I had him to beat Khabib. I picked against him against Charles Oliveira for sure, definitely. Knew he would get submitted. That was the easiest bet ever. But besides that, I love Justin Gaethje. Always back him. And I've said for a while, I think Max's chin eventually is going to get cracked. We just see it. And this kind of seems like the fight you would think it would happen. A lot of people would think it would happen. Everyone's on Gaethje. How can he not, bet Gaethje after that, what he did to Dustin? But something about the style of this fight, I think the 5 rounds favors Max. I think Max can really kind of pile the volume on him. I think this fight could be dictated by who controls the center of the octagon. I like Max. I think the straight punches kind of will beat Justin's hooks. The leg kicks do scare me, but we not seen Justin throw a million leg kicks in a fight like Volkanovski did to chew up Max's legs in the first 2 fights. And I know, Max's performance against Volkanovski in the 3rd fight of the trilogy probably scares some people, and his fight against Dustin. But I want to see how Max looks on the scales, how he fills in. But like Aljo, I think he'll have no problem. And maybe I'll flip it. Maybe I'll be a pussy. But for right now, I'm going with Max Holloway. I think he's going to just put out more output. And I think he's going to take over 3, 4, and 5 later rounds. But this is a great fight by far. This and the Charles Oliveira fight back to back. Woo! Two of the best fights you can put on of the year in the entire UFC. And they're in the same division, which is insane. But
Yeah, nice, man. I think we're on a couple underdogs, so hopefully we're having a good night, But man, co-main event here, we got Weili Zhang versus Yan Xiaonan, and I mean, I think Zhang will get this one done, but to me, it's dog or pass with the line, like plus 375. The line's off to me. I mean, Yan Xiaonan probably is just going to get grappled here. I would assume, but if it stays on the feet, I think Xiaonan is slightly better, or it might be 50-50. So if she can make it difficult, to get the takedowns, it could play out closer, but I think it'll be Ann still there.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Jan is she's a decent fighter. She's not someone who I think is overly deserving of this title spot on this card. Wei Li is, in my opinion, the greatest champion we've seen. Maybe one of the greatest women's fighters we've ever seen. I know she's had some ups and downs. this is another, fighter who I think this spot on the card means a lot to her. She's a huge, she loves the UFC. She's really proud of, representing her belt, being a champion. And this fight is a little reminiscent to me of when I saw someone say, and I think it was a really good comparison of when Joanna fought Carolina. Two of the girls, probably at the top of the division, same division from the same country. And I think, Weili's levels above Yan Zhao now. And I know you said dog or pass, but I think this one-way traffic. I think Weili gets it done. And I think she just uses the grappling and smashes her.
Yeah, the only reason why I think Yan has a chance is just you look at her last fight, man. Like she's one of the few girls in the weight class that has that power like that. Like she put her to sleep like out cold, Andrade. So I think there's a small chance she could do something on the feet or rock her, but like you said, I mean I think Zhang is way better overall and way better on the ground. So. But man, we're getting to the main event, and there's a lot of shit talk in this main event, man. I mean, it seems like it's not like personal, but they're both like they're overlooking each other. Where they're both like Peloton is saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna win this fight, and then I'll fight 3 weeks later or whatever," and then Jamal is like saying, "Oh, he's not on my level. Like I'm gonna destroy him in the first round." So it's like someone's gonna be right in this one, but man, I mean. Interesting fight. I mean, Jamal Hill, we haven't really seen him ever come out there and use something besides a striking game plan, but I do know the guy's a black belt. Like, so that is something that you got to take into account. Like, if he's not like a total retard, maybe you will take him down and submit him. But if it stays standing, I mean, I think it's like 50-50, like the line says. I don't think either guy is correct, like thinking they have a huge advantage, even though it feels like a kickboxing match. Peloton would be a big favorite, but just Peloton's chin, man. I mean, he definitely, I think, is not as durable as Jamal. He's taken more damage overall, like in terms of his striking career. He's been knocked out a few times. Jamal's never been dropped, I don't think, ever in his career. So I think Hill, he's coming back from that injury, which is something that you definitely have to take into account. He's coming back fast too. Like, I don't know if he's going to be 100%. But right now, I'm leaning towards Jamal Hill, and I think he's going to get the knockout early in the fight. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm thinking the same way, barring how he looks on the scales, because I've seen, getting some slack. He looks fat. He looks out of shape. How much training camp can he put in? This is kind of like a last-minute main event. We've known it for maybe a month now, maybe a little bit longer, but this was kind of like the last option. They kind of were like, this is all we got. You guys kind of got to be the main event. And fighting Peloton's no joke, especially coming off like an Achilles injury and you have Alex Pereira kicking your legs. Like, that's a scary thought. But when I match the fight up in my head, I see Jamal tagging him. I see him landing a big 1-2. Alex eats shots. He eats straight punches a lot. And I don't think you want to get hit by Jamal Hill. I mean, sweet dreams, that's what he does. He knocks people out. And I think the best bet you can bet on this fight, and for me, the best bet on the whole UFC 300, I'll say it now, main event to end in knockout. Either way, I'm really sure someone's going to sleep. I don't see this fight going to decision, and submission would be a huge shock. I think either Peloton's knocking Jamal out or Jamal's knocking Alex out. These guys are the main event of UFC 300, and someone's taking the title away. It's not going to be a close razor split decision. I like Jamal to get it done early. I think he's just going to find a big 1-2, and he's going to rock Alex. And I think follow it up on the ground, and that's all she wrote. That's just how I see it right now. But we got to just be patient, look to see how Jamal looks on the scales, make sure he's coming to this fight in good shape, after the injury. I think he has all the tools, though, to win.
Yeah, so there you go, man. I mean, it seems like we're on some underdogs together, and hopefully we can have a profitable card. I will say, though, I mean, one thing I think it's crazy looking at it right now is they got, like, Hill sub-prop the same, like, pretty much the same as Pereira's, which I don't think it should be plus 1,600. Because I think he'll have a huge advantage if it goes to the ground, but it's probably going to be a knockout, like you said, more than likely. But Yeah, to be honest, that those odds aren't bad to me. Plus 1,600 for submission. I mean,
That's insane. Yeah.
so it's a great he's a black belt, man. I mean, if they go to the ground, he'll have a gigantic advantage on the ground, right? But I wouldn't put crazy money on that, but I think that line is definitely off. But yeah, man, we're both on Hill. He's plus money. I think we're both on Max, and we're both on another dog too. So hopefully we kill it on this card, man. And this was fun, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully you want to jump on the channel again, and we could do some more content and get your channel going, man. You for sure should do content. You're good at this, bro. So you should make a channel and do your shit. So yeah, bro, appreciate you coming on. And if there's anything you want to plug, I know you're talking about potentially doing stuff on Instagram. So there you go, man. Floor's yours.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. This was a great opportunity. I had a great time. Really just love talking UFC, talking fights. It's honestly my passion. Every Saturday, I got bookmarked. So all I want to do is watch UFC. I don't go out to party. It's all I want to do, watch fights. I love it. Student of the game, gonna put in the work, do my best, make some money. And I love it. Follow the Instagram, fitzmagic.mma. YouTube, we're gonna really try to get the podcast going. Fight Take Network, like First Take, Fight Take. Yeah, just I would love to come back on the channel. I hope you guys like these live streams. Hope it does well. We'll see. Maybe we can get it going. Every week. I'm ready. I'll put the work in, do the predictions early, get these early lines out, beat the bookies, make some money. Great time. Just thanks for having me, and I love talking about the UFC. Love it. Love betting it. It's my favorite thing.
Fuck yeah, man. This was awesome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, and hopefully everyone that watched, put a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with our predictions? Do you disagree? And besides that, man, I'll be back soon. I'm going to be doing my full card breakdown prediction video. I'll probably put out a couple other videos this week just to kind of do some more for UFC 300 because it's a special week. Might put out a PFL video. I think I'm going to be going to the PFL, and I'm going to try to go to UFC 300 too. So yeah, man, that should be sick. I got media passes for PFL, so I probably can't bet on the fights, which kind of sucks, but going to be going. If you guys want to check it out, I know I got a couple tickets for free. So if you DM me, I can give you guys a couple of tickets. I think it's going to be at the Hilton. I can't remember exact where it is, but you'll see where it is on the ticket. It's at a hotel here. So yeah, man, if you guys want to go to that PFL fight Friday, it's Derek Brunson's the main event. Just DM me. I got a couple tickets, and yeah, man. Outside of that, appreciate everyone jumping on here. Like I said, I'm gonna be back doing breakdown soon, and we're out. So see you guys later.
Thanks again, guys.